peace, love, understanding. Everybody clap your hands now. Welcome to the morning meeting. Come on now, put your hands together. Now everybody say, no smack in the chat. No smack in the chat. One more time. No smack in the chat. Well, Mark takes notes with a poker face. He knows the leak before the leak takes place. I never read the chat, he likes to say, but somehow he always clocks the chat rats when they go astray. Left, right, nobody knows. And
All
that's
right.
the way he
Enough of that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning meeting, trying to get everybody fired up and ready to go, as we say on one side of the aisle. Happy to have you here. We're going to have a rousing hour with Dan and Sean running through the events of the day book based, as you know, on the Network News Division's morning meeting. I'll read the day book quickly, then we'll talk about it, and then we'll hear from you. And it's Friday, so winners and losers of the week, what to look for this weekend, and lots to cover. Always being forward-looking, because that's what we do here. We only look back for the purposes as absolutely essential to look forward. If you'd like to be in on the conversation, please raise your hand. We'd love 3 new people today. Tempted to say if we don't get 3 new people, the show's canceled, but I'm not going to. But I'd like 3 new people. So if you've never raised your hand before, please do. And if you're watching on X or YouTube, please don't put smack in the chat. Last night, our special coverage of the debate with the New York Post, the level of smack in the chat was surprisingly delightfully low, but there was some. So please, no smack in the chat. Peace, love, and understanding to all. Do as Sean and Dan do to each other on a regular basis. Extend the presumption of grace. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Sean Spicer, adorned in merch from Fairway and Green with the logo of the morning meeting. Sean, tell them what you're wearing and how they can get some of their own.
Good Friday, Mark. I'm wearing the Fairway and Green quarter zip pullover in color marine. I would have called this navy blue, but Fairway and Green calls it marine. That's right, Mark. You can get this quarter zip as it gets a little chilly welcoming in fall, or any of the amazing products that Fairway and Green has, with a logo, with not a logo. Men's, women's, it's all available. Mark, you're asking, is it I'm going to pay full price? No, Mark. No, you're not. You're going to get 20% off if you go to tway.tv/fairway and enter the code 2way20. That's right. Anything on that entire site, from the boxers to the quarter zip to the amazing polos,
they've
20% off.
They've got 5 different brands. You can get the discount anywhere. Dan, it looks so good on Sean. It can't possibly be, though, as comfortable as it looks, is it?
No, it absolutely is. It's. I mean, I'm waiting for Sean to sleep in it and give us his review, but it's great.
Wait? No, Dan. You don't have to wait any longer.
Nice.
Yeah, the nap test. All right, on the day book today, at the White House, the Federalist is the new media pool. Lindell TV is a secondary TV. That's the mattress guy.
Yes,
I believe it is.
No, pillow, mattress topper, mattress topper, and pillow.
Yeah, Fox is the main pool. Wall Street Journal print pool. AP is the secondary print. So AP gets to be in the pool. Get to be in the pool. The Associated Press. Remember all that controversy. And the president's headed to Mar-a-Lago later.
First
it's
time,
the season.
Palm Beach season.
The Lion and new media. But before he goes, his fourth meeting of the presidency with his counterpart from the Ukraine, also known as Ukraine. President Zelensky comes to the White House at 1:00, bilateral lunch with the president. Currently, there's nothing open press but the greeting. But let's all place our bets. The president will talk, but he's supposed to leave shortly after the meeting. And
by the way, 30 years of living in and around DC, worst traffic ever.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like this.
Maybe we don't want to cause a security brouhaha, but where did Zelensky stay that caused all
At
this?
the embassy.
Oh, at the embassy.
Which is in Georgetown.
Which is in Georgetown. And I can tell you from about 20 minutes ago, having driven through Georgetown 20 minutes ago, there is every DC ice truck, sand truck, dump truck is on M Street. So if you're looking to go to Brandy Manville this morning,
don't do
pump
it.
Your brakes.
Outhouse, hen house, hot house.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Vice President has no public events today, but I bet he's at these meetings. And then tomorrow he's going to Camp Pendleton, 250th anniversary celebration of the U.S. Marine Corps. House and Senator out. Speaker Johnson continues to play hide the house.
Are
They're
we
not
not
in
going to talk
session.
about what Zelensky's going to wear today, by the way? I think that's a topic that needs to get covered.
He's going to wear what I'm wearing.
Yeah. You think that's, you know what would be nice? We should have thought about this, guys. I'm
What
sorry.
is it?
Fairway green, get him over there.
Oh
That
my
would have been,
goodness. We
I should have dropped it off.
For their 5th visit, we'll do that, or maybe we'll see
Going
if Putin,
over.
maybe
I'll
we'll
just
see if
take care
Putin
of
will wear
this.
it. Hakeem Jeffries, changing it up a little bit today, leapfrogging, doing his daily press conference ahead of the speakers. So 9:30, maybe we'll take it live because I know exactly what he'll say. 9:30, Speaker Leader Jeffries. 10 o'clock, because it's clockwork, Speaker Johnson and House Republican leaders at 10. And then the House caucus is doing a virtual meeting at 2. And there's some economic data that came out a half an hour ago. Housing starts. Don't know what it said. All right, gentlemen, we're gonna switch things up just a bit here, and talk about the two related topics of the president's approval rating and the economy. So let's do it. First, a new survey from the good folks at Emerson. 108, please. President's job approval. Again, it's the reality of Donald Trump. Floor and ceiling, floor and ceiling. His disapproval has been as low as 41, as high as 48. His approval this is since this term, as high as 49 and as low as 45. So within that narrow band right now, he's not at his absolute lowest, but close to it. But still, in the divisive age in which we live, a 48% disapproval rating ain't the worst. And of course, the Democratic Party's numbers are not great either. 109. The president's approval rating on Israel has improved, and Hamas on the war has improved dramatically. Perhaps no surprise there. It used to be 41 disapproval. Now it's 47 approval. And Ukraine continues to be a problem for the president, with disapproval now at 50%, although down from 52 in April. The economy.
And by the way, that approval on Israel, it's independence. That moved almost 2-1.
Yep, exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. Continue to be confused by the economy. On any given week, you can cite 10 positive signs, 10 negative signs. The uncertainty over tariffs, over China, uncertainty over AI, whether it's a bubble, a mirage, a driver of new jobs, a killer of jobs, lots of uncertainty. So, Sean, just your best analytics where's the president in his approval rating, and where's the economy?
I mean, I think where he is on his approval rating, we talk about Israel 2 seconds. You do something historic, your approval rating will go up. Shocker. You do something. So I think if Ukraine ends up moving in a positive direction in terms of peace, he will get a bump out of that too. But I think, look, we've seen this over the last 10 years. There's a band, there's a floor and a ceiling, as you mentioned, and he's going to get somewhere in there the whole time. His approval rating is very strong among Republicans, as Dan pointed out on Israel, but I think that's overall. The independents is where you're going to find any kind of the movement. Democrats will continue to not like him. Republicans really strongly like him. And where you see that tick up or down is going to be whether independents love him or hate him on any particular issue. So as he gets victories, it'll notch up. As things, are problematic domestically or internationally, it'll pop down. But again, we're talking about a very small band. Where the economy is, I think it's where it's been for the last few months. There's some signs of concern, but I believe that long-term wise, in terms of the efforts of investment that the president has yielded from all of these companies saying they're going to invest, even if a fraction of them pay out in the next year or two, I think this is going to pay off well for him. And as interest rates continue to tick down, remember the Fed has signaled 2 additional quarter point, 25-point basis cuts. That will continue to stimulate the economy. The stock market continues to be strong. So I think, look, some little small issues here, but generally speaking, pretty good.
Danny Boy, the pipes are calling.
Oh boy.
You've been less bullish on the economy in general than Sean is, but not crazily bearish. So where do you see both the president's public opinion standing and the economy as we head into the end of this year and into Q1?
I think it's the word you kept using, which is uncertainty. And I think that's the issue. Voters, Sean, you've always said this. It's not a question of what the statistics say, but what voters feel. Voters feel uncertain. It's not, I think we hear it on this platform. People are giving Trump the chance. I think they're rooting for him to be successful, for the country to be successful, but they don't feel it yet. And the challenge for Trump is by all accounts, part of the focus on crime this fall was because they wanted to shift the subject. Now he's focused a lot on overseas stuff, and he is racking up successes. But as Joe Biden found out, as George H.W. Bush found out, the history of foreign affairs, all politics is local. At the end of the day, are you making my life better? He got elected because people thought he would be better on inflation, better on the economy. If you look under the hood of this stuff, he's slipping with Latinos, he's slipping with blacks, he's slipping with independents. Now, Democrats aren't gaining. That's our problem, right? We're so focused on Trump derangement syndrome or with Trump derangement syndrome that we're not seizing this opportunity. The danger for him.
Did you listen to my monologue on Next Up by any chance?
I did. Okay. It was great. I mean,
yeah,
you were right.
Just wondering. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. And I think I've been pretty consistent about this. So I think the challenge for Trump is you can only not talk about this for so long, and you can only keep moving goalposts for so long before voters may say, I'm going to give them a chance because it's going to be divided government. And I don't necessarily like the uncertainty that permeates out there.
Yeah, I wasn't saying you stole off the monologue. I was just wondering because I was just basically saying I agree with you. It's hard. They're so addicted to being anti-Trump.
Correct.
That they're not debating issues even amongst themselves or putting forward positions. All right. Next up here is Russia, Ukraine. Lots of moving pieces and counter directions. First of all, the president is meeting with Zelensky, and Zelensky's been meeting with the sellers of U.S. weaponry. There seems to still be a movement towards the javelins. Thune, again, Tomahawks. Thank you. Thune has teased bringing the sanctions bill to the floor before and backed off, but he's saying it again. But then the president talks to Putin and says Putin doesn't want the Tomahawks to be sent. And now he says he might meet. He said he would, but Caroline walked it back a little bit. He might meet with Putin, and some would say, maybe, I don't know if they'd be a cynic or a skeptic, but some would say Putin's just stalling for time again to not actually be serious about negotiating. So, Sean, what's the best case to come out of today's meeting?
By the way, who asked for the call? Did Trump ask to speak with Putin, or did Putin ask to speak to Trump?
Great question. Don't know the answer to that.
I believe Russian asked.
Yeah. So let's level set this real quick. I think Trump is pissed. I think part of the reason whomever called Putin yesterday was to make it clear that I'm strongly considering giving these Tomahawks. I just want everyone to understand when we say he should give them or not give them, like what the reality of that. And I don't think it's that controversial to say this. You give a Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, regardless of how it's done. We give them to someone who gives them to someone who gives them to France, who sends. I mean, bottom line is this: Russia perceives. They've made it very clear. Putin said, if they end up with U.S. Tomahawks, I don't care how many pass-throughs you do. And who Venmos whom. The bottom line is we will assume that as an act of aggression. And we believe that no matter how they ultimately end up in Ukraine, if they are fired upon us and land in Russian territory, that is an offensive action. And I think we all have to be honest. That's what matters. If a Tomahawk lands in Russian territory, we're all in. Okay? Understand that. When people say they should give him the missiles, they will use them, right? That's the thing, is that Zelensky will fire them. When he fires them, understand what is about to happen. We are starting potentially World War III. And so every time someone says he should just give them the Tomahawks, understand what you are actually advocating for, because Putin will see that as an aggressive action. He will mobilize his entire country, and we will go to war. And I don't think that is a hyperbole or rhetoric. That is the bottom line. And whether or not we ultimately think we'll win that or how soon, that's what will result in this. And I think Trump knows that. His people know that, which is why he's playing a little game of cat and mouse. Zelensky wants him. I might get him to him. And then Zelensky agrees. And then you heard him talk about this in the Oval yesterday. He kind of was joking a little. And he said, I told him, should I give him them or not? And of course he said no, because he understands that if you hand them to Zelensky, he will fire them. And so I think that's where we are, is that Trump's trying to play a little bit of cat and mouse here and say, I'm about to give them to you. You know what's about to happen. And then Putin going, great. If you do that, you know what I'll do in return.
Yeah, Rubio and others are supposed to meet in advance of a potential Trump-Putin meeting. Dan, my guess is that nothing that happened yesterday changes your deep skepticism that Putin's doing anything but playing Trump.
Yeah, first off, I find it ironic. If I recall, just about a year ago, the attack on Harris and Biden was, you didn't give the Ukrainians everything they wanted. And now it's like, well, let's be a little careful about this. Look, peace through strength. The only thing Putin, God bless Rahm Emanuel, if you haven't read it, it is a phenomenal op-ed with just outstanding subtle jabs at the president. Look, how do we gain leverage partially over Hamas? We bombed Iran, right? Well, I mean, everything, Sean, you just said, obviously the Russians are a slightly different beast, but Putin knows that Trump doesn't want to do this. Putin knows. So he has no incentive to stop. And I do think he called Trump to get in front of Zelensky, to warm up the president, to tickle the idea of a meeting and peace. And like, so now he's going to lean on Zelensky. Hey, Putin's getting close. I might have peace. You got to knock it off. And I think Zelensky's like, dude, the only thing he respects is sheer force.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Hamas, the president yesterday also clarified that it's not the U.S. that's going to go in and forcibly disarm Hamas if they don't self-disarm. He didn't say who, but do we agree he means the Israelis, or does he mean somebody else?
I think that was.
Didn't Netanyahu say that? He means us?
Yeah. So here's the headline from the AP. Hamas reaffirms commitment to ceasefires, delays, and returning hostages' bodies, fray nerves. No new issues have arisen, but still this question of how long do they have? Like, what's the soonest Israel would go in and start trying to disarm them? And isn't that a messy, in some ways, it may be a messier operation than the one that they previously were engaged in?
Yeah, it's urban combat.
Yeah. So how long? I mean, when does that start? Does that start this weekend? Next week?
No.
How long do they have? How long do they have?
As I said yesterday, Hamas needs to show, hey, they're saying we can't get some of the bodies because of the rubble. Like, they need to start being specific, like, hey, we need some help here. We need some, like, the more they lean in looking like they're trying, I think that buys them time. If they start being obstinate about this, then that's when to your question, the timetable starts to move up. Because
But are we talking days, weeks?
I would say that they got at least a week, maybe 10 days. And then you start to go, okay, this is getting ridiculous.
All right. Again, if you want to end the conversation,
I think it's days.
Go ahead, Dan.
Days. You think it's less than 10 days?
I think that they see a vacuum getting filled, the Israelis, and I think they're getting anxious.
Yeah. I mean, the rhetoric from Israel is quite something. Surprised.
Well, you know that they're itching to go. I mean, they're like.
What will the fragile Europeans say if Israel goes in and civilians are killed?
I had the questions. What do the Saudis and the Qataris say, and the Turks, as long as they stay on board?
I think they're fine with it. I think they're fine.
That Israel going in.
Yeah, I think they are.
Europe will. I mean, I think Europe blows like the wind.
Does the Arab Street? Are they okay? Because if the Arab Street gets up, those kingdoms.
No such thing anymore.
By the way, total side note: Trump's saying
over.
that Saudi may join the Abraham Accords, right? I mean, you've got all these little pieces.
That's been Jared's dream forever.
I know, but I'm just saying that you can't.
Here's all we're doing on. Yeah, here's all we're doing on Bolton. What we do whenever the president has one of his enemies indicted. Plea, dismissal, plea, conviction, thrown out, plea, conviction, acquittal. How does this case end, Dan?
Conviction.
Sean.
Agreed. Get sized up for that orange jumpsuit, buddy. You're going away.
25% plea. 75% conviction.
By the way, just a point of
you didn't give us the opportunity.
I know you can't.
I think so too. That he may plea.
Also, just to be clear, point of clarification, Mr. Chairman. This investigation started under Biden. It was the Biden DOJ, the Biden intelligence.
But then they chose not. But then they chose not to prosecute.
I understand, but I'm just saying, just to be clear.
Well, but that could argue the other way.
Well, I'll say, let's be clear. Would these charges have been brought if it was just Joe Schmo on the street?
No, would the charges have been brought against Donald Trump?
No, I hear you. I'm just saying, but that's always the test, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they might have actually been in this case.
By the way, just for the record, I do agree with. I would quasi agree with you. I might even up the 25% to a 40.
Yeah.
That I think he may get into some plea deal.
Dan, just so you know, I'm inclined to indict anyone who's still using an AOL account. So
and Gmail. That was weird. Both.
yeah, plenty of people use both.
Okay.
They're
My mother
addicted.
uses
They
AOL.
can't quit their AOL account.
Yeah.
But they recognize that in some instances.
Yeah,
they
Google
need
the
to
sound of an
MTV,
AOL.
by the way, if MTV is going to wind down this week, I think AOL should too. I mean, just to make it one foul swoop.
shut down politics. The Republicans are obsessed with this notion that the Democrats will come to the table after this weekend in the No Kings rallies across the country. Here's Donald J. Trump with Maria Bartiromo, 107. Before you play it, don't play it yet. Sean, briefly, why does the president like Maria so much?
Because
I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just asking what the basis is of his deep fondness for Maria. Is it? I don't know. What is it?
it's just longstanding. I mean, she's been very fond of him. I mean,
Yeah.
but you're right. I mean, he's always appreciated her. So
She came to the photo. She taped her interview yesterday, and she came to the photo op, to stand in the back and sort of watch it because her interview was right after. And the president called on her, and he just gave her a massive buildup.
Well, don't forget, though, in the late 90s, early 2000s, she was one of the financial reporters.
You can say money, honey.
Yeah, and that was her nickname, for those who don't know, was the money honey. And
hold on. I'm sorry. You think there are people on this platform who don't know that her nickname was the money honey?
Yes. If you
Seriously?
a big CNBC watcher.
Come on.
Gentlemen,
Come on. These are learned people in the two-way community, Dan.
If you're in your early 20s, Mark, you weren't born.
They have history books, Dan.
But anyway, I mean, they socialized in the same circles.
Yeah.
They have a lot of mutual friends. I think he's known her, to Sean's point, for 30 years. And she also stayed very loyal after his first term.
Yes, 100%. All right, here. Sorry to the delay. Here's the president with Maria on the No Kings rally and Chuck Schumer.
Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
No, I mean, some people say they want to delay it for the king. This is
more
not a
than
king. They're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer could go and say, I'm fighting Trump.
Well, Chuck is, at the end of the line. He's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. And, what he did is he did the right thing a couple of years ago on something like this. And he got hurt by his party. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters to him. I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you. Now, what we're doing is we're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, I mean, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted. Giveaways, welfare programs, et cetera. And we're doing that, and we're cutting them permanently. We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get, and I'm cutting the project. The project is going to be dead. It's pretty much dead right now.
Crying Chuck. He's a crier. Dan, the No Kings thing to me is of a piece with what I was talking to you about before, which is it's not the economic revitalization rallies. It's not the jobs, and investment rallies.
Healthcare.
It's just No Kings. So are Republicans right? After this weekend, are Democrats going to me, it's going to cut the other way. They're going to dig in because they're going to say this is where our energy is opposing Trump. But do you agree? Are the Republicans on to something that we may see talks accelerate next week, that the rallies are over?
I think talks may accelerate. It has nothing to do with the No Kings rally. I think talks may accelerate because it is becoming very apparent Democrats are getting near the danger zone politically. Yep. If you go back to the start of this three weeks ago, Democrats had about a 10 to 15 point advantage on who do you blame for the shutdown. People said Trump and the Republicans. That number, the Democratic number, has started getting higher and higher, and the gap. And now, there were two polls out yesterday that have it about even, like 1 or 2 points.
Indistinguishable.
Yeah, the trend lines are, and we have talked about this for months, when it starts to impact the real lives of real people, you just get agitated. Like, gosh darn it, reopen the government. I don't care. And I think that those Senate Democrats from like purplish states coming out of this weekend, as more polls are there, are going to say, guys, like, now we got to start negotiating and getting out of this, because if this number gets too much higher, Trump's going to smell blood and pound the living daylights out of them. And then He's not going to give you a lifeline.
So the best they can get now is they have to vote for the CR, and then
and then there's going to be a healthcare bill because Republicans want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah. So first of all, the rally gave us a great point, right? Which is you guys want to open it because you want to have a rally. It's a great political talking point. Yep. And so let's just be clear as to it's not that we, some of us believe it. Some of us actually just think it's a good talking point, neither here nor there. Maybe they couldn't cancel their youth hostels in and around the DC area with 24 hours.
And the hacky sack rentals.
Right. That being said, look, to Dan's point, politically, it's becoming untenable. It also is, it's simple always wins in arguments, right? So open the government, we'll have your discussion. Open the government, we'll have your discussion. Is the simple argument Republicans win this? I think the problem that my party has right now is we better come up with a plan when the dog catches the car, when the dog catches the car, because right now, I go, guys, we're going at some point, to Dan's point, okay, fine, we'll open the government up. What is our position? What are we actually going to do? The subsidies are a massive problem, I believe. I mean, these were COVID temporary subsidies. The Democrats created this. They knew they were temporary. That's why they sunset them.
Well, some of them were. Yeah.
Fair enough. Right. Which is the ones that you guys want to deal with. What is it that Democrats are for, and what are we going to be fighting on, right? Because we can talk about illegals, fair enough. That's a great talking point. We can talk about insurance subsidies, fair enough. But we need to be for something too, right? And what is that? Are we for extending them at 200% and down and phasing them down over the next 2 years? But I don't think that there's a plan after the Democrats finally agree to this. And so we're winning the simple short-term argument, open the government, we'll talk about healthcare. Where I think Democrats have a problem is they have it is a good discussion to say we want to talk about healthcare costs are rising. Got it. Where I think Schumer's missing the boat is they're piling on. We want $5 billion and roll back the Doge cuts. And it's like, you're making this too complicated. So both sides have some dangers that they've got to be careful of as far as the argument goes here. And that's where I believe I'm still, again, just to be clear, the Senate went out today. Why are they not voting today? Why are they not voting Saturday? Why are they not voting Sunday? Republicans got to keep their foot on the pedal on this.
I will also add one good news for Democrats. Healthcare as an issue rank is getting higher and higher in polls. I think it's at 5 now. It was like number 9 like a couple months ago. So it is entering the public conscious that this is an important issue, and that's good for the party. Right.
But remember, most of people get their
through their employers.
Yep. So this is a very small subset of people that are really dealing with this. And I'm one of them. So I get it. I know what, right. But like, it's hard for a lot of people to say, I don't get it. Where is this fight? Because I pay my $20 copay and whatever. So it is a very interesting issue. And again, remember, part of the reason that we're having this discussion is because of Obamacare. You created a system and it's now collapsing and you wonder why. Well,
all right, I'm going to run through. I'm going to run through a handful of political stories, and you each will be entitled, based on how much time we have, to comment on any one of them. Any one of them. Here we go. Mayor's race in New York City.
Pass.
Last night. I'm going to do them all. 3 things had to happen for the debate to change the race. The moderators had to hone in with tough questions on Mondami to finally hold him accountable. Cuomo had to give the debate performance of a lifetime, dig deep, and Mondami had to look rattled and make mistakes. None of those 3 things happened. So that race is over, by the way. Virginia Attorney General debate. The Democrat kind of apologized, and the Republican hammered him super hard. And Mr. Platner in Maine, eager to hear what the Pod Bros say about him. Please
read the quote. Yeah. I'll read it.
Which quote? Like. There's like 15
which one? Go ahead and read your favorite, Sean. I mean,
okay.
He went on social media 100 years ago. How long ago was it? 5 years? When was it?
So just to be clear, when was it?
How long ago was it?
By the way, this is Graham Platner in Maine.
How long ago? How long ago was it?
Just to be clear, from the party that wants to confiscate guns.
Yeah.
I give you Graham Platner.
What year, Sean? Before you read it, what year did you write that?
I don't.
We'll look it up. It was like on Reddit or something.
Okay, but this is Graham Platner. If people expect to fight fascism without a good semi-automatic rifle, they ought to do some reading of history, right? He goes on, but it's amazing that you want to confiscate the same rifle that you think we need to fight people with and urge violence.
Locker room talk, right?
Yeah, locker room. Him and Jay Jones, two peas in the same pod, baby.
JD Vance will
super quick. Yes or no? Well, I'm going to finish, but super quick on Platner. Is his campaign dead, Dan?
No.
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 It's
Okay.
Maine, by the way.
Okay,
In Maine,
yeah.
too.
Could
Half
help
of
him.
that state is
Could help
applauding the
him.
guy for
Could
that.
help him. Okay. Here is a quote from Ed Martin, the DNC chair on Politico 111. Did an interview with them saying his job's awesome, saying his job's horrible, and also saying this: I don't care if we overperform or underperform. He's talking about New Jersey. What I care about is making sure we win the governor's race there. At the end of the day, we know that the Republicans are feeling very bullish about their chances in New Jersey for a whole host of reasons, right? Jack Ciattarelli lost to Phil Murphy by 3 points 4 years ago in the Harris race last year. They significantly shrunk the presidential margin there. And New Jersey, a history of electing Republican governors, combined with the fact that they haven't ever elected a Democrat to a third term, right? At least in the last 50 years.
can
We'll come
we
to
just-
that. Here's
I just
polling
wanna
from
say-
Emerson. Yeah, no.
I might have to make
never-
him my winner of the week now.
Polling from Emerson 112. Hold on, Dan. They keep testing J.D. Vance versus Gavin Newsom, and numbers haven't changed much. 40 tie 45-46 in now tie in August. Pretty much of a tie in July.
Margin of error.
Yeah, margin of error. Here's a New Jersey governor poll 113. There have been a lot of polls there lately, more than usual. Insider Advantage has the race, you guessed it, tied,
Yeah.
even though other polls have shown a little bit of a gap. Here's the Virginia AG race we mentioned. This is 114. Very
Outside the
close.
that's outside the margin.
It's not outside the margin of error because margin of error is on both sides. So whatever the margin of error is, that's going to be a tie, unless the margin of error is less than 2, and it won't be. Here is the governor's race in Virginia, 115. This is Insider Advantage. Very close. Sean's been calling this for a while that this is going to be close. And here's Barack Obama, new ad for Mikey Sherrill, governor race in New Jersey.
Hey, New Jersey, this is Barack Obama, and I want to talk to you about my friend Mikey Sherrill. Mikey is a mom who will drive down costs for New Jersey families. As a federal prosecutor and former Navy helicopter pilot, she worked to keep our communities safe. Mikey's integrity, grit, and commitment to service are what we need right now in our leaders. Mikey Sherrill is the right choice for your next governor. So go vote by November 4th.
Is he grim? Is he grim and unsmiling in that ad for a reason, or just he was not in a great mood? Is there a reason you'd want your endorser to be so grim?
Yeah, he definitely did not look very excited to do that.
That was one of those ones where it's like, before we go golfing, Mr. President.
Yeah, exactly,
Well,
exactly.
More like here are 40 scripts. You got to bang them out.
Right.
All right, you're each entitled to comment on one of those stories. Dan.
I'm going to go New Jersey gubernatorial because momentum is a huge deal in politics. People want to be with the winner. The press starts to write more and more favorable stories of the candidate with momentum, and the candidate with the momentum against him, or in this instance, her, has to try to reverse it. That the DNC chair in the off year, when they've been bragging about all the overperformance of the party, basically was laying the predicate for her defeat through 2 weeks out, is stunning. It's stunning. The party is starting to kind of say goodbye. Yeah. And I don't know how she, turns the momentum around. Maybe she holds on, but you sure do feel like that's a dead body.
Yeah. And again, stunning because Dan, you were amongst the first to report that her team was planning to win and then turn around and run for president.
Yeah.
Or be considered.
I also said this spring, watch New
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah, no, you did. You did.
Or a little nervous about it.
You did. Sean, I bet you want to comment on Virginia. But
I'm going south.
Yeah.
And for that reason, right? Look, to Dan's point, momentum and trends matter. So those polls you showed are a snapshot. But look at where they were 7 days ago, 10 days ago. Jason Miyares was down 4. He's now up 5, right? Winsome Sears was down 12. She's now down 2. John Reed, the lieutenant governor, that one poll, the one that we didn't, dead even, full on 46-46. The bottom line is the entire Republican ticket is shifting right. That's where you want to be in the final couple weeks of a campaign. You want to be going with the wave, not trying to hold it back. Same thing that Dan's point in New Jersey. Maybe the president's calling him now. The bottom line is that this is a good place for the Republican ticket to be in Virginia, and that's why I still feel confident all three are going to pull it over the finish line.
Okay. Governor Pritzker revealed yesterday in his tax returns that he made like over $1 million gambling, playing blackjack right in Vegas. This is a yes/no question. Does this story, Dan, help his chances of being president of the United States?
So
What's the
that
over under?
I'll give you a different question, Mark. Does Pritzker try to make his wealth a strength or a weakness? Because historically, candidates are very afraid.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was super proud of it and
can't buy me, and said, "You can't buy me. No one owns me."
Right.
So if I were Pritzker, I'd lean into this.
Yeah. Sean, does this story help him or hurt him?
Push. No one cares.
No one
In the
cares.
Democratic primary, it's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
Well, I
it
think
is,
is that. Yeah, I mean, I think you can see an
does
ad
he-
saying you
does
can't
he-
get by,
yeah.
and he's betting $1 million.
Does
for
he?
black
Does
guy
he
people.
lead an opulent life?
No. Well, it depends. Okay. If having been around, I've been a fundraiser for a long time and where I live here, by billionaire standards, he lives a pretty frugal life.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
But if you put it to the average person in South Carolina or Nevada, he leads a very nice life.
Yeah.
Again, to me, the question is, are you uncomfortable in your own skin? Meaning, if you're shy about your wealth, like John Kerry was and others, voters think you're kind of weak and a phony. If you embrace it and flip it, and you're like, "You're gosh darn right, I'm rich, and I'm going to try to make you rich, and I know how to make you rich."
Yeah.
So
all right, we got to do this quick because we got a lot of hands up. Winners, losers of the week, what to look for. Sean, do all three of yours.
Okay, my winner of the week are the hostages. I think that obviously them getting out, their family seeing them, I just can't imagine what it's like. I know Christiana Ampor didn't think it was a big deal, but I imagine that being held captive for that long has got to be horrible, and the pain that those families went through. So they are my winners of the week. My losers of the week are professional diplomats. I think this is what Trump continues to show, and it's, we'll see in Ukraine the doubt on that. But I do think that this idea of using outside experts, people that you trust, people that can actually go in and have the authority to make a deal. Steve Witkoff, Jared, you see in there. Again, big deal on that. And do you want to just end it there, or do you want to do the winner, look for the week?
What are you looking for this weekend?
What am I looking for? What everyone in America is looking for. 1:00 on Sunday. Mike Vrabel goes back to Tennessee, and the New England Patriots will take on the Tennessee Titans and extend their record and their lead in the AFC East.
Do you know? I know not everybody's looking forward to that because I didn't even know about it. Dan.
Well, now you do.
Yeah, thank you for that.
How did you not know that?
I'm not focused on the AFC this year. Dan.
One of the surprises in the NFL this year. All right, my winner.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Drake
May.
Dan, go.
My winner of the week is Mandani. He did very well last night, and Cuomo did very poorly. Barring a miracle, he's going to be the next mayor of New York. My loser of the week is J.D. Vance. I know you guys totally disagree with me, but I think the way he tried to defend those guys, group text, I'm surprised at the number of people I know who have said, like, what on earth was he doing, who are not political people. People don't know him the way they know Trump. He's still forming first impressions. I think it was a real kind of stupid move. I get why he did it. And what to watch for me are the images from the No Kings rally. Is it peaceful? Is it,
good call.
Are there pro-Palestinian flags? Are there,
illegal aliens?
Yeah, like I'm going to be very curious what the images are that come out of this weekend for the party as we head into the shutdown more.
Yeah. All right. So what to look for is exactly the same as yours. I'm so curious about how and how it gets covered, right? Does it get, and how big they are, just the whole thing. I respectfully disagree with you about Vance. I think there's negatives to it and positives, but I think it's a net plus for him because it identifies him as the MAGA king on these issues that are really emotional for them. All right, my winner is BB.
But Mark, gotta keep remembering, MAGA's not enough to win. You've got to get independents. They're still forming opinions of them.
Of course.
I know.
Not going through a primary, though.
Whether he can appeal to independents is one of the biggest questions, obviously. Winner is BB, and loser is the pro-Hamas American community. Because they were flummoxed because there's a peace deal, which is what they said they wanted. And instead of saying great, they were like, humana. All right, time for your questions, comments, concerns. Let me make one thing clear I don't know if you saw our special last night with the New York Post after the debate. We're not against drunk people coming on the platform. I just want to be clear. Just
that would have been a good clip.
There were a few people who raised a glass on air last night.
Yeah, we're not against it.
Yeah.
Bill Graham, on the other hand, stone cold sober, as best we can tell. Bill, what?
Yes.
Is this your first time on the program?
It is. Thank you.
Well, welcome in. Tell us all about yourself, Mr. Graham.
Well. Thank you for including me. I am. I'm actually traveling abroad right now. I'm over in Shanghai, China.
Have the dumplings. Have the dumplings on the bund.
I have. They're actually. Yes, I have. I've had them.
It's 9:40 p.m. Right? Yeah, so maybe he is.
Yeah. It's no. I am sober, but it is 9:40 p.m.
Yeah. Where do you pay taxes, Bill?
The United States. I'm a Pennsylvania citizen.
We're in Pennsylvania.
Montgomery County, Gladwin, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, welcome in. And you on business over there?
I am. Yes.
You staying in a hotel?
Mark, are you working for the government, Mark?
No, you staying in Bill. You staying in a
I
hotel?
know. I am.
Do they search? Yeah. Go ahead. You're where?
The Grand Hyatt.
It's a nice.
Shanghai,
it's one of my favorites. Do they search your room whenever you leave?
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know about it, but the answer is likely yes.
Try to
There's
fog
a
that
camera
mirror
on
up.
Yeah. Well, and what kind of business are you starting?
Toy business, toys. Yes, I've been in the toy business for some time, and kids' toys. Just to be clear,
understood.
Yeah.
Does Scott Bassett know you're there?
He doesn't. It's interesting you say that because I was in the you're familiar with this hotel, Mark.
Yeah.
So there's a lounge on like the mid.
Yeah.
It starts on like the 54th floor.
Yeah.
And there's a lounge where you have your evening snacks and stuff like that, and they have the evening news there, and it's the local Chinese news, and it's interesting because it's like you get a little slice of life. And what I recognized among other sort of nationalistic stuff that was going on in the news was that the profiling of the United States personalities was obviously Trump, but it was not Besant. It was Hegseth.
Yeah,
that was profiled because it's very, the nationalism here is obviously very apparent and understandable and all that other stuff. Like, but I think there's a from a U.S. perspective, it is economic, and from here it is very militaristic.
Yep.
And the recognition, the points of recognition are much more the counterparts on the militaristic side versus the economic side. So,
Bill, are you expanding production in China, or are you initiating your first production there?
I am initiating a new company, and
So I'm not being
complicated question.
Okay, well, I'm not being critical. Just curious. You're going against what the perceived trend is, which is to manufacture elsewhere. So explain your thinking, if you would.
Excellent question. Right. The epicenter of production in the world stems from China. And as it's becoming diversified via the tariffs, or because of the tariffs, rather, I would say that, people are looking at, to Vietnam, which is honestly a kissing cousin of China. More meaningfully, Indonesia and places like that are viable alternatives, but they're basically clones of Chinese production. China is the best producers of stuff in the world. They are the most learned people in the world in terms of like making stuff, right? Like anything that you make, anything you touch, there's an excellent product maker here because we exported that stuff, those jobs, that expertise eons ago. And they've mastered it. So they're the master producers of material goods in the world. And right now, obviously, because of the tariffs, it's a matter of like, how do you skip that fence, right? So the challenge, of course, is, well, you're going to get clobbered with tariffs if you produce here.
Yeah.
So how do you do that without compromising quality? And you really need to, there's only a couple of alternatives in the world. India is not yet, for example, advanced enough from a mass production standpoint to rival China. Indonesia has a good size population and is essentially a extension materialized from China that's on par.
Yeah,
But
Bill,
there are
I'm
very few
sorry.
alternatives.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
Sorry.
but I'm sorry. Everything you're saying is interesting, but I want to make sure Dan and Sean get in here.
Yeah.
But just
Yeah. Sorry.
aren't you taking a huge risk that your toys will be? Are you trying to get it sell back in the U.S. market? Is that where you plan to sell?
Yes, globally. Yeah.
But aren't you taking a huge risk that if the tariffs stay on, that your product will be unaffordable?
I think still, because the comparative advantage exists with China, that, well, yes, in short, but sort of kind of no, because despite that the tariff, it's still
Well, the
is
best
worth the
bet. Okay,
squeeze.
Sean.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, obviously, like we do have toy companies in America. I think
Mhm.
Hasbro's in Rhode Island, actually.
Yeah.
Why not make a bet
Interesting.
on, why not try to do this in America with American labor and be sort of have a point of pride that says my toys are made in America. You might pay a little bit more or whatever, but there's US labor and that.
Yeah, no, great question. They are in Rhode Island. Oh, they're moving to Boston now. But
That's how Rhode Island does it. Rhode Island's state motto is you either work for the state or out of state.
yeah, they were formerly Pawtucket, now Boston proper, and Lego, for that matter, is also moving there. Everybody makes everything in China. So even though they are a Rhode Island company, and Mattel is an El Segundo company, and every other company in the United States, I'm a U.S. company. Everybody makes stuff over here. But it's an excellent question, because I actually think there's an opportunity to transition business into the United States as a result of taking some of the expertise, leaning into some of the efficiencies that are potentially, who knows what's going to happen with AI efficiency and the ability to actually transport literal production to other locations. And it's an open-ended question, I think, in some ways, that, like, I would love for there to be additional U.S. production.
So can I ask this
I'm
real
starting
quick,
something new.
not to go down this rabbit hole, but if a policymaker came to you and said, Bill, I hear why you're doing what you're doing. I'd like you to do more in the U.S. What can I do policy-wise to make it attractive for you, to give you the labor force that you need and the tax policy you need to manufacture here? What would you answer them in 30 seconds?
I take 1 second. The answer is yes, and let's go.
Well, what
What makes it
America.
what makes it economically
Right.
viable
What-
for you?
I've thought about this extensively, actually, and honestly, being in China, because, like, they're China is so interesting, because it's the inverse of the American everything, right? Like, it's like the government does everything and private enterprise does very little. In the United States, obviously, the government does very little and private enterprise does everything. I actually think about it in terms of Pennsylvania, and I actually think about things in terms of Pennsylvania Steel, Pennsylvania AI, advanced, what's going on with the administration and investing in AI in Pittsburgh. And as a East Coast Philadelphia or Eastern State Pennsylvania resident, I think about terms in, like, hey, how could I, like, this is, I think, a linear experience in Pennsylvania. And I think that if one were to look at essentially minimizing the touch points by which human interaction touches things, right? So it's like that obviously doesn't necessarily inspire a lot of job creation. However, there's a lot of that is essentially what goes on in production, right? Like, you want to touch it the least number of times. You want to be as efficient as possible. You want to be as streamlined as possible.
Bill,
And if I were,
hold on.
yep.
I got to get Dan, and then we got to move on. Dan,
I'll just say, I mean, look, this is an unbelievably fascinating conversation, and I applaud you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your honesty.
Oh, sure.
I think you speak for tens of thousands of businesses that are thinking through their future. And as I've said for this whole entire time with the tariffs, the challenge is while some are thinking of coming back, a lot more is having the same algorithm that you are. And they're looking at Indonesia, they're looking at Vietnam. They're not talking about coming back here. And when you then go to, well, how do we take on China? Everybody agrees. We need Vietnam. We need Indonesia. We need India. We need all these surrounding countries to be on Team USA, not Team China. So you can't smack them too hard. This is the challenge for everyone who says we'll rewire the whole world. It's hard.
Bill, we're so grateful to you for coming on. If you've got a quick question, because we never did let you ask a question, you can.
Oh yeah. Sorry. First of all, understandable. We'll move on, but yeah, it's a complicated thing. I would love to move stuff back to the U.S. I think there are ways to do it. My question is two things real quick. One, I think Mark. First of all, I think you're the best analyst in the business, and when I think about things in terms of like what you say versus what people receive and how people push back on things, I think about the Gavin Newsom stuff that you pushed over the summer, and like it's not a matter of the fact that you report things very well, you analyze things very well.
Thank you.
Your team obviously reflects that. My question, actually, it's more of a plea, is for politicians to stop cursing. It is the most cringe-worthy and least attractive thing in the world. They feel like they're dropping like a Dirty Harry, and they're actually much more like dance fighting or something like that. And that's my thing. You guys are influential, so please tell politicians to stop cursing. It's terrible.
Bill, thank you. Two of the three of us agree with you. Okay.
I do.
David and Dave, gentlemen, welcome in. Just tell us quickly, because we're up against the clock.
Where you are. I got brought in, but I just want to say go Jays go. And I think the Bolton arrest is important because basically there has been this inside the Beltway idea that a bunch of people like Sandy Berger or Hillary Clinton or now John Bolton can get away with stuff that anyone who is an officer or a non-com or just a general official who could get away would be facing life in prison for what he did.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted to say. That needs to stop.
Yep. David, thank you. It's a good point. It runs counter to what Dan said, which is he'd only got indicted because who he was.
Well, I'll just say then going after Donald Trump for the papers, which I think was silly because you just don't go after ex-presidents because they didn't return the papers. Then he should have gone to jail.
Well,
he clear as hell took them, and he would not give them back.
You could argue the presidents are different. You could. Some people.
They are. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah. Dave, thank you, David. Dave.
I'm not going to, by the way, just to be clear, I will never defend sloppiness when it comes to classified information. I mean, but there's a difference between possession and sloppiness. So I do think there's two separate issues. No. Yeah. My point is, I don't think anybody, regardless of who you are, should ever treat lightly classified information.
Right. And or cover up attempts to investigate it, right?
Well, or refuse to give it back or hide it or get caught on camera.
No, that's again, going down another rabbit hole.
Yeah. Dave, welcome in. Quickly. Hey. Dave Garcia.
Thanks, guys.
Sir? Sure, thank you.
9:50 in the morning in New Jersey. I haven't been drinking, just for the record.
Okay. We'll take you at your word, but it is Jersey, so.
I was just gonna say, yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah. You never know. So I just wanted to talk quickly about JD Vance. You guys have stated, and if I'm mischaracterizing, please let me know, that you think he's the front runner for 2028. I'm starting to think he may have a Kamala problem where he won't be able to run against the existing administration. I can envision him running a version of the last campaign versus having a pulse on where the electorate is in 27 and 28. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, while not a viable candidate in my view, is demonstrating how someone can flank him from the populist right. And it's effectively a MAGA message that is going against the administration. It's kind of like, the Rhino message that Trump has, but America first, through an America first lens. And so, this is 9 months into the administration. These are the things that she's been criticizing the administration around, but cost of living, healthcare, the tariffs, the Argentinian bailout, unconditional support for Israel, and
Two
now
bailouts.
potential war.
Yeah.
Two bailouts, and now potential war with Venezuela. So it's been 9 months.
Yeah.
And then specifically with JD Vance, she could lean into the relationship with the tech industry and Peter Thiel. And so I just want to get your thoughts there. I think this could be a real outflank from the populist right.
David, it's genius if all candidates were created equal, right? If this were a truly open race, but he's going to have the endorsement of Donald Trump. He's going to raise $2 billion. He's the chair of the finance committee. He has support from Don Jr., from Tucker, from so many of the people who will matter here. He's extremely popular with members of Congress, with governors, with everybody in the administration. So you're right thematically, but this is not going to be a fair fight. And he's going to lock it up. And then he'll have a year. He'll be the de facto nominee, and he'll have, I believe this is what's going to happen. It may not, but I believe it. He'll have a year to find some positions to start to appeal to independents. Whether he can stylistically and after all of this appeal to independents, I think is a huge question. But we'll see who the Democrats nominate, because that person may have just as much trouble or more appealing to independents. Sean.
I will just take it one step further. J.D. Vance is the Republican nominee as much as Mondami is the next mayor. That's how certain I am of both of those things. I get your point on Marjorie. I think she's bringing up some interesting points, but I don't think there's a difference. The president hasn't made foreign policy a focus, number one. These are issues that came to him. Number two, America First is, and I think Steve Bannon put this in an Axios piece yesterday, there's a difference between proactively getting involved in something and being and trying to figure out how to put America's interests first. So like in Iran, and look at what he did in Israel. This wasn't inserting ourselves. It was making sure that our national security and our national interests were protected. That's what Donald Trump has been doing. And it's a very different approach. It's nuanced, but that's why I think that with all due respect, Marjorie's a little off on this. He's not going out looking for places to get involved in. He's defending us, and his eye is clearly on the ball when it comes to domestic issues, whether it's the border, tariffs, things like that, trying to make a better playing field. So I think there's nobody that is better positioned for all the aforementioned reasons that Mark mentioned to be the nominee of the Republican Party and the next president of the United States than J.D. Vance. I get Marjorie's points, but I don't think that will rise enough to the top to make any much of a difference.
So well Dave, I've been saying something along the lines that you have, and I agree with Mark and Sean, and I agree with you, which is that I think 2028, J.D. Vance is going to have a straitjacket named Donald Trump on him. And Trump is not going to allow Vance to separate himself. Anytime I think Vance makes a mistake, he's going to pick up the phone, call Fox and Friends, and say, well, you know what, JD, do you guys, Mark and Sean, let me ask you this. Do you think after the nomination, Trump's going to go to like Europe for 2 weeks or go away or go? No. Do you think he can shut his mouth and let Vance go run a campaign?
But there's a difference. The Kamala Harris on The View was asked, name one area that you just, and she said, I can't think of one. If you asked JD that question, he would give you a litany, respectfully say, the president looks at this. He comes at from a business perspective. JD can answer that question.
And if polls show Trump is unpopular on that and JD Vance does that, can Trump sit there and stomach getting criticized?
Yes, because he wants to be succeed by a Republican.
And also, JD knows how to thread a needle really well.
Exactly.
I think Trump says I do it better than anyone. I watch.
Let me tell you something. One of the things about going on with Vance, there's never been, at least in the modern era, a vice presidential operation so in sync with the presidential operation. I
agree.
And part of how things go cockeyed with Al Gore, with Biden. Even Cheney, is there's tension between the staffs, and that percolates up to the principals. That's not going to happen in this case.
But the only thing, though, Mark, is for what you just said, they're totally synced because J.D. Vance knows he cannot allow an ounce of daylight between him and Trump. At some point, he has to, and that's the problem.
It could happen. It could happen, but I don't think it will.
Your theory hasn't been stress tested because now that tongue's got to stay right on the fan.
How you do it matters, right? No, but this is the point. How you do it, right? Daylight is relative. So I think, as I just said, JD can say, "Look, I'm a Catholic. Trump's not. I have a background like this." I mean, you can point out differences respectfully.
Listen to Sean. Sean has explained this perfectly. The guy is so skillful and he's so well liked. There's not been a vice president this well liked within the party and within the White House in my career.
Again, everyone's goals are the same right now.
Yeah. Dave, sorry, we're out of time. Dave, sorry. But thank
Great
you.
point,
Really brilliant point. Thank you for coming on. I apologize. Sean, real quick, what do you have? We're past time.
The aforementioned Stephen K. Bannon joins tonight to take it all down.
Oh, by the way, there are rumors he is going to challenge JD Vance.
Yeah, he's
well, I will just say this. If you look at the list of issues, 2028 is on my question list.
Okay,
all right.
Tune in.
Random offense, 2 o'clock today. Ethan's guest, Wozni Lombre, Big Woes of The Ringer. Join them at 2 o'clock live Eastern time. And then 6 o'clock, Mark Short, Republican strategist, former chief of staff to Mike Pence, and someone else to be determined, to be named, will join me at 6 o'clock. We'll be back Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Don't forget my episode of Next Up is now there. My interview with Scott Jennings, America's favorite pundit. And we talk about what it's like to be on the inside at CNN, where they've turned him into something special. I call him king of all media. We talk about that. And I take him through a Senate campaign and whether he'll run for the Senate in Kentucky in greater detail, I believe, than anyone ever has.
Oh, I thought that door was closed.
No. Wait till you see his reaction when I told him the president was going to endorse him.
Does Trump call him my Scott?
No, that's Bassett.
Yeah.
My Jennings.
Yeah, my Jennings. Anyway, thank you all for watching, being part of the two-way community. Another great week here, and we'll see you Monday. Monday's episode only open to those wearing Fairway and Green merchandise. So if you haven't already gotten it, I'd choose the express delivery.
Wait 20, get it now.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Have a great weekend.